Assalamu alaikum. This is Huma Islam, your O-level Islamiyat teacher. Today's topic is Hazrat Ali Raziyallahu Ta'ala Anhu, and it is from P2 chapter 3 based on the Caliphs. Now, Hazrat Ali's Khilafat was from 656 to 661 AD. Now, introduction. Father was Abu Talib. He was the custodian of the Kaaba. He was born inside the Kaaba. Hazrat Ali, this is a unique quality about him, that he was born inside the Kaaba. Titles that were given to Hazrat Ali were Asadullah, Lion of Allah, Haidar-e Karar, Karam Allah Wajhahu. These were all titles gifted to Hazrat Ali. He was brought up by the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wa alihi wasallam from the age of 2 to 3 years old. So could you imagine, from a very tender age he was raised by the Prophet. He learned to read and write. He accepted Islam at the age of, it is said, 8, 9, or 10. He slept on the Prophet ﷺ's bed at the time of migration. He was a hafiz and a scribe. Now, during the brotherhood bond, when the brotherhood bond was made, created between the Ansar and Muhajir, the Prophet ﷺ made Hazrat Ali his brother in the brotherhood bond, as Ali was coming from Makkah and Prophet considered himself from Medina because of his maternal relatives lived there, so that he created a brotherhood bond with Hazrat Ali. Hazrat Ali was married to Fatima bint Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Hazrat Ali was an orator, a poet. He was good at math and astronomy. His livelihood was agriculture, participated in all battles except for Tabuk. Why not Tabuk? He was left as the deputy of the Prophet ﷺ in Medina. He was the writer of the Treaty of Hudaybiyah, and you remember the incident where he was ordered to remove the name of Rasulullah, but he refused to remove it. And then he was the one that bathed the Prophet ﷺ at the time of his funeral rituals. He was election of Khalifa. He was elected at an extremely difficult time. Egyptians insisted he take office, but he refused. Why do you think he refused? Because if he would have accepted office, then it would have given the impact that maybe Hazrat Ali was, they were supporting Hazrat Ali. Ali was in favor of them. So he totally refused. He did not want office. The Kufans insisted for Zubair bin Awam to take office, and the Basrans wanted Talha bin Ubaidullah to take office. Rebels insisted that the Caliph's election should be done within 24 hours. And the criteria should be closeness to the Prophet ﷺ, and he must be religious. The person must be religious. Naturally, the most closest to the Prophet ﷺ was the one raised in his home, and that was Hazrat Ali. The Majlis-e-Shura sat to decide after a lot of persuasion. After 3 days of persuasion, Hazrat Ali finally accepted the caliphate. Medina and took office at the most difficult time. Medina and all territories were under chaos and anarchy created by rebels. Usman's clan and other Muslims insisted to avenge his murder and punish the culprits. Now, why did they insist? They insisted based on the pledge of Rizwan, Bait-e Rizwan, that the Prophet ﷺ insisted that he is going to avenge the murder of Usman. Based on that pledge of Rizwan, that's why they insisted, many Muslims insisted, the avenge of Hazrat Uthman. Now, Ali insisted the consolidation of the Muslims first to counter turmoil and the root cause. Ali wanted to unify the Muslims first, to get them all together, stop this rebellion, so that they could find the people who were involved in the conspiracy theory, or they could get to the root, the initial person who is creating this turmoil. He had to take a drastic step of changing all the governors. Why? Because remember, all of the rebels were all opposing the governors, so he had to change the governors. Now the Majlis-e-Shura advised him not to change the governors right at that moment. But in order for the rebels to just go and sit back in their own territories, Hazrat Ali changed the governors. Usman bin Hanif was sent as the governor of Basra. Saad bin Ubaidah was sent as the governor of Egypt. Abdullah bin Abbas was sent as the governor of Yemen. Umara bin Shahab was sent as the governor of Kufa, but he returned because the Kufans disallowed entry, so he returned. Suhail bin Halif, Syria. Syrians also disallowed Suhail bin Hanif to enter into Syria. Syrians demanded revenge. Battle of the Camel, Jamal, it occurred in 656 AD. This is an important battle. You get many questions in the CAIEs based on this topic. Syrians demanded revenge of Osman. His blood-stained shirt and Naila's fingers displayed in court of Muawiyah. People of Makkah and Medina were also instigated. So what did they do? Syrians demanded revenge because Muawiyah was the governor of Syria. So he demanded, and Muawiyah was the cousin of Osman. So he demanded the revenge of Osman. Plus, to instigate people to gain support, what did they do? They displayed the blood-stained shirt of Hazrat Osman, and they also displayed Hazrat Naila's fingers in the court and different places. Hazrat Talha, Zubair, and Hazrat Aisha also insisted revenge. Hazrat Aisha had gone to Hajj. She brought many from Makkah. Now, she had gone to Hajj and she brought so many people with her to go and avenge the murder of Usman. The three led 15,000 troops to Basra. Why Basra? Remember, because a group of rebels also came from Basra, so they were going to go to Basra, Kufa, then Egypt, systematically. The three led 15,000 troops to Basra in August 656. They took control of Basra after a battle, killing 600. In other words, they took over the control of Basra, killing 600 Muslims. The governor of Basra, Uthman bin Hanif, the one that Hazrat Ali had just appointed, fled Basra. Ali was preparing to confront Muawiyah in Syria. He prepared 20,000 force under Bayt. In other words, he took Bayt, and 20,000 forces took the Bayt. Hassan brought 10,000 troops from Kufa because Hassan was stationed at Kufa. Ali and Aisha's troops met at Basra. Remember, Ali was going to confront Muawiyah. And then he's given the news that Hazrat Aisha, Zubair, and Talha are at Basra, and there's bloodshed happening there, and they're trying to, avenge the murder. So, as the Caliph, it was his duty to stop any turmoil or any, mishap that could occur in the Muslim, empire. So he directed himself towards Basra. Now, Ali and Aisha's troops met at Basra. Negotiations took place. Now, the two, Hazrat Aisha and Hazrat Ali, they both understood each other. Hazrat Aisha agreed to go back. Aisha understood Ali's stance and agreed to go back. What was Ali's stance? That we are going to reunite the Muslim Ummah first and then get to the culprits. In December 656, mutual agreement disappointed the rebels. Now, what happened? The rebels were disappointed with this mutual agreement. They wanted bloodshed. They were out there just to destroy the Muslims, according to the conspiracy of Abdullah bin Sabah. The rebels planned confusion in the armies during the Battle of Camel. The rebels planned to disrupt the agreement. They attacked both armies in the middle of the night. So the rebels, they attacked Hazrat Ali's army and they also attacked Hazrat Aisha's army simultaneously. Both armies were thinking that the opposite armies have attacked, whereas it was the rebels from within who were attacking. Talha and Zubair fled the battlefield but were killed. Aisha on her hodaj, in other words the carrier that is on a camel, came out on her camel. Fighting around the camel, some were attacking her hodaj. When Hazrat Ali found out about people attacking the Prophet's wife's camel and the hodaj, Ali ordered to cut the hooves of the camel, in other words, cut the foot, the ankle of the camel. As soon as the ankle of the camel was cut, the camel fell. The war abruptly stopped. In other words, as soon as the camel fell, you could hear a noise, and imagine the wife of the Prophet has just fallen down. with the camel, and then all of a sudden silence. Abruptly, the battle stopped, and the 10,000 were killed. This was the first fitna of civil war amongst the Muslims. Aisha was escorted to Ali. He treated her well with honor and sent her back to Medina with her brother Muhammad bin Abi Bakr. Aisha retired, never indulged in politics again, and it is said that she used to curse herself in the later age of her life. She used to say, "Why did I go? Why did I go when I was ordered to stay back in my home? Why did I go?" And then she used to regret everything that happened at the time of the Battle of the Camel. After this battle, Ali shifted the capital to Kufa. Why did he shift the capital to Kufa? Because he did not want any bloodshed that had been experienced at the time of Usman, so he shifted the capital to keep Medina sacred. Battle of Safin. This was after Battle of the Jamal. The Prophet Hazrat Ali went towards to go and encounter Muawiyah, because remember, Muawiyah was not stepping down from position and he was not letting the new governor in. Muawiyah was appointed by Umar. Popular in his region, he refused to take allegiance of Ali. He demanded qisas of Usman, in other words, revenge. May 656 AD, Ali's forces, 70,000 to 90,000, 70,000 and 90,000 Muawiyah's forces were lesser. Hazrat Ali's forces were near to 70 to 90,000. We don't have an accurate count. Muawiyah's forces were lesser than Hazrat Ali's forces. For months they faced each other. In front of each other. They camped in front of each other. They faced each other. Negotiations took place but failed. A war broke out on the 8th of Safar 37 AH. On the fourth day, when Muawiyah's forces were losing, he ordered them to hold the Quran on their spears. Now, this was a tactic. It was a deception by Muawiyah. That what did he try to do? He wanted, because they were losing, he ordered his soldiers to put the Quran manuscript on the edge of their spears. Now, as soon as Ali's forces saw the Quran on the spears, the forces stopped fighting. Ali ordered them to carry on fighting and said it was a trick, but they stopped. Fighting stopped when some Syrians raised pagans. Now, the fighting stopped when some Syrians raised pages of the Quran on their lances, shouting, "Let the book of God be the judge between us." Ali exhorted his men to fight, telling them that raising Qurans was for deception, but to no avail. The Kufans, the largest bloc in Ali's army, both threatened Ali with mutiny if he did not answer the Syrians' call. In other words, they were going to be treacherous. Facing strong peace sentiments in his army, Ali accepted the arbitration proposal, most likely against his own judgment. He didn't want arbitration. He just wanted to carry on fight so a decisive battle would take place. Muawiyah now proposed that representatives from both sides should find a Quranic solution. Muawiyah was represented by his ally Amr bin al-As, whereas despite Ali's opposition, the majority in the camp pressed for the neutral Abu Musa al-Ashari, the governor of Kufa, to be the arbitrator on the behalf of Hazrat Ali. The arbitration agreement was written and signed on 2nd of August 657. Both armies left the battlefield after the agreement. The arbitration agreement thus divided Ali's camp, as many did not support his negotiations with Muawiyah, whose claims they considered fraudulent. The agreement strengthened Muawiyah's position, who was now an equal contender for the caliphate. Now, first, Ali's army said, no arbitration, stop fighting. When he stops fighting, they say, why do you stop fighting? Why have you agreed to arbitration? There was no other way for peace if there was not any negotiations taking place. The Kharijites. Some of Ali's men left him in protest to the arbitration agreement. Many of them eventually rejoined Ali, while the rest gathered in the town of Naharwan. They became known as the Kharijites, the Kharji. Now, this word, the Fitnatul Khawarij, is used on TV nowadays, a lot also, who later took up arms against Ali in the Battle of Naharwan. These people were first a part of the army. They insisted Ali to stop fighting, and then when Ali stops fighting, they insisted that he should not, agreed to arbitration, and now they've distanced themselves from the army, and then they hold arms against Ali. So, what type of supporters were they? Now, the Kharijites, many of whom belonged to Kufa, were likely disillusioned with the arbitration process. The slogan was "No judgment but that of God," highlighting their rejection of arbitration by men in reference to the Quranic verse "In al hukma illa lillah." In other words, there is no judgment except from Allah. In other words, now they're saying that they should have fought it out to find out who's the successor. Now, the leader of these Kharijites was the same Abdullah bin Sabah who brought up the rebels against Usman. The Kharijites first insisted truce, now saying Ali should have fought till the end. Two arbitrators met together in Dhammatul Jandal. There they reached the verdict that Uthman had been. The two arbitrators met together in Dhammatul Jandal. There they reached the verdict that Uthman had been killed wrongfully and that Muawiyah had the right to seek revenge. The negotiations there failed as the two arbitrators could not agree on the next caliph. Umar supported Muawiyah while Abu Musa Ashari nominated his son-in-law Abdullah ibn Umar, who stood down. In other words, he nominated him to be the next caliph. Second meeting, Abu Musa Ashari publicly deposed both Muawiyah and Ali and called for a council to appoint his successor. In other words, he took them both off office per earlier agreements with Umar. But then again, deception when Umar took the stage. However, he deposed Ali and appointed Muawiyah as the next successor. Battle of Nahrawan. 4,000 Khawarij gathered at Nahrawan. After the arbitration, Muawiyah received the Syrians' pledge as caliph. Ali then organized a new, much smaller Syria campaign, postponed the expedition, marched to Nahrawan with his army. They killed many, apparently not even sparing women. In other words, Nahrawan, the Kharijites were killing people there, and they weren't even sparing women. Ali convinced many of the Kharijites to separate from their army, leaving about 15,000 to 18,000 or 2,800 out of 4,000 fighters. The rest of the Kharijites then attacked and were crushed by Ali's army of about 14,000 men. The battle took place either on 17th July 658 or in 657. Assassination attempts by Kharijites. The Kharijites plotted to kill all three, Hazrat Ali, Muawiyah, and Amr bin al-As. They believed that all three of them were unfit and that they were not true companions. That was according to their view. Decided to kill all at the same time at Fajr when they can come out to pray. So there was a plot made by the Kharijites to kill all three. Remember, Muawiyah is in Syria, Amr bin al-As is in Egypt, and Hazrat Ali is in Kufa. After Fajr, it was agreed that they will kill them after Fajr. Muawiyah escaped the assassination attempt. Amr bin al-As did not come out that date for Fajr. Ali came for Fajr and he was attacked by Ibn Muljam with a poisoned sword. On the 18th or 19th of Ramadan, he was martyred. He finally succumbed to his wounds on the 21st of Ramadan. He named no successor. Hassan implemented Qisas and Ibn Muljam was executed. Ali had insisted only if he dies will Qisas be implemented. Qisas means, get an eye for an eye. In other words, that person will be executed. Be implemented if survived, no Qisas. Administration. Umar's administration followed strict check, justice for all Muslims and none. Once accepted Qazi's rule against him. He followed, in other words, Hazrat Ali followed the same administration as Hazrat Umar's administration. He followed strict rules. He applied justice for all Muslims and non-Muslims. Once accepted a Qazi's rule against him, Hazrat Ali accepted the Qazi's, the judge's rule against him. Zimmis were taken care of. Treasury, the money from the treasury was spent on welfare, never allowed his family to take from Baitul Mal. He established new garrisons, he built forts and bridges built across Tigris and Euphrates in Iraq. Army posts were set up on the Syrian borders also. The character of Hazrat Ali. He was brave, he was intellectual, he was very generous, he was humble, he was wise, he was eloquent, he was a jurist, he was patient, bold, he possessed perseverance, he was compassionate, he possessed humility. And there's a hadith of the Prophet ﷺ, I am the city of knowledge and Ali is its gate. In other words, that is the way the Prophet praised him. And Hazrat Ali was amongst the best of characters. That's from Home Islam. Thank you so much.